The day my first son was born, I stood outside that hospital and wept. Not from pain, from joy. I named him after my father. I skipped meals so my children could eat. I worked 3 jobs so they could go to good schools. I gave them everything I had for 10 years. Then, a small piece of paper, a DNA result, destroyed everything in 1 second. My name is Emeka Okafor. I am 41 years old, and what I am about to share with you is the most painful truth any man can ever discover. Please sit down, because this story will shake you to your core. Emeka Okafor grew up in Nnewi, Anambra State. His father died when he was 9, leaving his mother, a petty trader, to raise 5 children alone. From that pain, Emeka made one promise to himself. Not about money or success, just one thing. That when he became a man, he would build a family full of love. A family that would never know suffering the way he did. He worked hard in school, won a scholarship, studied civil engineering at the University of Nigerian, Nsukka, and graduated with a 2nd-class upper. He got a job in a construction firm in Lagos. By 28, Emeka was stable. Then, he met Adaize. It was at a church youth program in Surulere. She was quiet, beautiful, and seemed deeply spiritual. They spoke after the service, then again the following Sunday. Within 3 months, they were inseparable. Within a year, Emeka had gone to her family in Imo State to do the proper introduction. His mother loved Adaize immediately. She held her hands and said, "My son, this is the woman God kept for you. Do not let her go." They had a small wedding. Emeka had saved for 2 years just to give Adaize a day she would never forget. It was not a big ceremony, but it was full of genuine joy. Friends, family, laughter, and tears of happiness. In their first year of marriage, Adaize gave birth to a boy. They named him Chukwuemeka Jr., CJ for short. 2 years later came a 2nd son, Tobena. Then a daughter, Chisom. 3 children, a growing home, a wife who seemed devoted. Emeka believed he had everything he ever prayed for. For 10 years, he worked tirelessly. Every salary went into the family. School fees, food, rent, medical bills, clothing. He never complained once. He was proud. He was a father. And being a father was the greatest thing he had ever become. It started with a phone call. Or rather, a phone call that was never answered. Emeka had traveled to Abuja for a 2-week construction contract. It was good money and he needed it. He called Adaize every evening without fail. But on the 4th night, she did not pick up. He called 5 times, nothing. He sent messages, no reply, until almost midnight when she finally responded, "Sorry, my phone was on silent. I was sleeping." Something small turned in his stomach. He could not explain it. He pushed it aside. But the following week, he casually called his neighbor, Mrs. Negozi, to check on the children. Mrs. Negozi paused for a moment too long before saying, "They are fine. Adaize went out last night, but she came back before morning." Went out? At night? With 3 children at home? Emeka said nothing. He thanked Mrs. Negozi and ended the call. He sat in his hotel room in Abuja staring at the wall for a long time. When he returned to Lagos, Adaize welcomed him warmly. The house was clean. The children were happy to see him. Everything looked normal. He told himself he was overthinking. He told himself he was being paranoid. He loved his wife and he trusted her. But the seed had been planted. 2 months later, his younger brother Chidi came to visit from Nnewi. One evening, while Adaize had taken the children to the market, Chidi sat across from Emeka at the dining table with a look on his face that Emeka had never seen before. Serious, almost afraid. Chidi said, "Brother, I have been carrying something for 3 months and it is eating me. I did not want to be the one to bring trouble into your home, but if I keep quiet and you find out later that I knew, you will never forgive me." Emeka felt his heart rate change. He said, "Talk to me." Chidi had come to Lagos 3 months ago for a job interview. He had not told Emeka because he did not want to disturb him. He stayed with a friend in Ikeja. On his second day in Lagos, he went to a shopping mall in Lekki, and there he saw Adaize. She was not alone. She was with a man, tall, well-dressed, relaxed in his body language in the way that told Chidi this was not a casual meeting. They were laughing. She touched his arm twice. The man held her waist briefly when they walked, and when they sat down at a restaurant inside the mall, Adaize reached across the table and held his hand. Chidi stood frozen. He watched for 20 minutes before quietly leaving. He told himself maybe it was an old friend, maybe it was innocent, but the way she touched that man was not how you touch an old friend. And so he kept it inside, praying he was wrong until the guilt became too heavy. Emeka listened to every word without moving. When Chidi finished, the room was completely silent. Emeka did not shout, he did not cry, he just nodded slowly and said, "Thank you for telling me." That night, he could not sleep. He lay beside Adaize and watched the ceiling. This woman sleeping peacefully next to him. This woman he had chosen above every other. This woman his mother had blessed. Could it be true? He made a decision. He would not confront her yet. He would find out the truth first. Emeka was not a dramatic man. He did not hire a detective. He simply began to pay attention. He started checking Adaize's patterns quietly. He noticed she had a second phone, a small, simple device she kept at the bottom of her handbag. He had seen it once before, and she had said it was an old phone she used for one of her business contacts. He had believed her without question. He noticed that on certain evenings when he worked late, she would become unusually cheerful, almost relieved. He noticed that she had changed her main phone password. One Saturday, he told Adaize he was going to visit a colleague. He drove out, parked 2 streets away, and waited. An hour later, Adaize came out of the compound, dressed nicely, entered a taxi, and left. Emeka followed. She went to a hotel in Victoria Island. She did not go to the reception. She went straight to the elevator like someone who knew exactly where they were going. Emeka waited in the lobby. 40 minutes later, she came back down, alone this time, fixed her hair in the lobby mirror, and walked out. Emeka sat in his car and gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles hurt. He drove home before her. He was sitting in the living room watching television when she walked in. She greeted him normally. She asked if he had eaten. She went to the kitchen and warmed food for him. Emeka ate in silence. The idea came to him slowly. He did not want to believe what his eyes had seen. But something darker had begun to grow in his mind, a question he could not silence. If Adaize had been saying this man, when did it start? How long had it been going on? And then the most devastating question of all, his children. CJ was 10, Tobena was 8, Chisom was 6. He had been present for every birth. He had held each of them in the delivery room. But presence in a delivery room does not determine biology. The thought made him physically sick. He pushed it away for 2 weeks, but he kept coming back. Finally, he made an appointment at a private medical laboratory in Lagos Island. He went alone. He explained what he needed. The doctor told him he would need a saliva sample from each child and from himself. The results would take 7 working days. Getting the samples from the children was the easiest and most heartbreaking thing he had ever done. He told them he was doing a fun science experiment. CJ was excited. Tobena asked if they would get a prize. Chisom just opened her mouth wide and said, "Do it, Daddy." He submitted the samples on a Tuesday morning. For 7 days, he went to work, came home, ate dinner with his family, helped with homework, and pretended everything was normal. Adaize noticed nothing different. She was warm and attentive as always. On the 8th day, the results were ready. Emeka sat in the doctor's office alone. The doctor placed 3 separate result sheets on the table in front of him. The doctor spoke carefully and professionally, but Emeka heard only fragments. Dr. CJ, probability of paternity, 0.00%. Dr. Tobena, probability of paternity, 0.00%. Dr. Chisom, probability of paternity, 0.00%. 0. All 3. 0. Not one of his children was biologically his. Emeka stared at the papers for a long time.
The doctor was saying something about counseling and support. Emeka nodded without hearing. He folded the 3 result sheets carefully, put them in his breast pocket, stood up, thanked the doctor, and walked out. He sat in his car in the hospital car park for 2 hours without moving. 10 years. 10 years of his life. 10 years of love that was built on a lie, so deep and so deliberate that he could barely breathe. He thought about CJ calling him daddy. He thought about Tobena falling asleep on his chest during long car journeys. He thought about Chisom running to the door every evening when she had his car. Daddy is back, daddy is back. And he wept. Not quietly, he wept from a place so deep inside him that it did not even sound like crying. It sounded like something breaking. He went home that evening. He waited until the children were asleep. Then he sat across from Adiaze in the living room and placed all 3 DNA results on the table between them. Adiaze looked at the papers. Then she looked at Emeka. Then she looked at the papers again. She did not pretend. She did not perform confusion. She just closed her eyes. And that one small action told Emeka everything. She had always known. He asked her one question, not about the man, not about the hotel, just one question. Did you ever love me? Adiaze opened her eyes. They were wet. She said, Emeka. He raised his hand slowly to stop her. He said, do not explain, just answer. She was silent for a long time. Then she said, Emeka, I cared about you. You were a good man. Cared. Past tense, like he was already gone. Emeka nodded. He stood up. He went to their bedroom. He packed one bag and he left his own house that night. The legal process was brutal. Adiaze's family came. They begged, they cried. Her mother fell at Emeka's feet. Her father offered to return the bride price. His own mother called him every day asking him to find a way to forgive. Those children know you as their father. Do not punish them for what their mother did. And that was the part that destroyed Emeka completely. Because he still loved those children. CJ, Tobena, and Chisom had done nothing wrong. They were innocent. They called him daddy. They had no other father in their world. Walking away from Adiaze meant walking away from them too. And that was a pain that had no name. He spent months in agony over that decision alone. He found out eventually that the biological father was a man named Roland, a married businessman Adiaze had known before she met Emeka. The relationship had never truly ended. Roland had no interest in claiming the children. He had his own family and wanted nothing to do with the situation. So 3 children were left without their real father and losing the only father they had ever known. Emeka eventually divorced Adiaze. He did not do it with hatred. He did it quietly, legally, and with as much dignity as he could manage. But he made one decision that surprised everyone around him. He did not abandon the children.
6 months after leaving the house, Emeka went back. Not for Adazi, for CJ, Tobena, and Chisom. He sat them down, without Adazi in the room, and he looked at their 3 faces. CJ was now 11, Tobena 9, Chisom 7. They were confused and frightened by everything that had changed in their home. Emeka said, I want you to know something, and I want you to remember it for the rest of your lives. They looked at him. He said, blood did not make me your father. Love did. And nothing that happened between the adults in your life will ever change what you mean to me. I will always be responsible for you. Always. CJ started crying first, then Tomena. Then Chisom climbed into his lap and held his neck so tight he could barely breathe. He continued paying their school fees. He showed up for their birthdays. He attended their school events. He built a separate relationship with each of them, completely independent of Adazi. It was not easy. Some days it broke him all over again. Some days he questioned everything. But he had made a promise to 3 innocent children who had no say in the circumstances of their birth. And Emeka Okafor was a man who kept his promises. Emeka did not become bitter. He became wiser. He lost a wife, but he refused to lose himself. He lost the dream of a biological family, but he chose to keep the love that was already real. And if you are a woman who knows the truth about your children, remember that the man beside you is giving his whole life to something built on a foundation
only you know is broken. He deserves the truth, no matter how afraid you are. This has been Femmz Stories. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop in the comments, what would you have done in Emeka's place? Would you have stayed for the children? We read every comment, and we will see you in the next story.